This video was reserved for our good old friend Mordecai. I was gonna give him slack for some of the actions that he took because there were other factors that played into him being an embarrassment like Mako and Kazuya. It was going to explore why he absolutely could not get back together with CJ or Margaret, and the decision he made to have Bat and Blue Jay hybrids was probably for the best. Mordecai is known for being the biggest simp, the biggest simp among them all. But no, I have found a greater opposer to this notion. It is undeniable that this man is a bigger simp than Mordecai because of the terrible. No. Saying terrible is only honoring him, and not a good enough description of it. The freaking disastrous decisions that this dude, the main topic of the video, made. Takashi, or better known as Boy A, from the manga series. My name is Boy A. Many times when I write a script for a video, usually when I want to critique something based on an impression I had, I can sometimes start to fear that I didn't judge something enough, or I judged something for the wrong reason. When that doesn't happen, I get writer's block, but amongst that script I wrote, I can find a topic that can last me an entire video. This is one of those videos. I just got done reading My Name is Boy A about 2 weeks ago. I wasn't gonna make an easy Bobby Schmurder reference, I'm better than that. I felt nothing but frustration and agony when I read it. It's still a very good manga, don't get me wrong. I quite enjoy redemption stories that center around injustice. That means there'll be an underdog, and who can honestly hate an underdog? It also highlights how flawed the social standards in high school and regular life are, because someone should not be judged over the acts of others, only by their own encouragement of such. The frustration stemmed from what the underdog was doing, and another individual who the underdog really had a liking to. You can see where this is going. Now, before I get into things, I just want to make absolutely clear that this story covers topics like sexual assault and child grooming, both of which are extremely serious and should not be taken lightly. If you are sensitive to that kind of stuff, I suggest you close the video now. My Name is Boy A starts off with Takashi crushing on his classmate Sasaki. Takashi wasn't the most punctual of students, often coming late to class because of other commitments, but Sasaki was always there to take focus off of his mistakes with the teacher so that he wouldn't get punished too harshly. Finally, Takashi manned up and grew a pair to ask out Sasaki to one of the most romantic places of all, Macca's. Sasaki is quite notorious in the school for being very pretty and kind, often being asked out by many boys, which is expected, but Takashi is the one she has eyes for, because he's not like the others. However, Sasaki's kindness got a little bit misconstrued by the teacher that chews out Takashi every time he is late and it isn't his fault. Her kindness was so touching that the teacher had come to the conclusion that she had fallen for himself, thus making him fall for her in the process. Instead of admitting that the feelings are wrong and such a relationship between a teacher and a student should not exist, especially since he is married, he went the extra mile as to sexually assault her and take pictures of her in compromising positions as to blackmail her into not telling anyone. She probably wasn't going to do it anyway because of the embarrassment of losing her first time to a teacher in such a manner. This made her cancel her outing with Takashi, seemingly out of nowhere. She tried her absolute best to avoid the teacher, but he followed her and made sure that she had nowhere to run. This went on for a few days, until, thankfully, Takashi had caught him in the act, and while he was not looking, he went for the kill. Unfortunately, his effort was unsuccessful. He had been pinned to a wall and was being strangled to death. Then, something snapped in Sasaki, and as well, with his back turned, she went in and finished the job that Takashi could not do. The trauma of the situation was too great for her to bear. She had murdered someone, but it was to protect her friend whose life was in danger. This didn't matter though, since she could still be charged by the law at her age. But Takashi found a loophole. He wasn't old enough to get arrested and would be protected by juvenile law. He decided to take her place and made up a petty excuse for the murder, stating that he had never liked the teacher to begin with. Those who defended him, like his best friend, received the highest levels of bullying you could ever get, being told to kill himself. Like he predicted, Takashi indeed was protected by juvenile law and sent to reform. He tried his best to live a normal life for his mother's sake. His sister had tried to cut ties but couldn't because she still loved her mother too much. It was a very messy situation. After a few years, Takashi was ready to go back into society. Not without its issues though. People had seemingly forgotten the murderer, who they referred to as Boy A, so all was good at first. He was able to make new friends, since the only one that stuck by him had to go into isolation so that he wouldn't get bullied anymore. Then, some unknown figure had exposed him online, and he started receiving hate and shame once again. It was only until he met Sasaki again that things started to turn around for both of them. While Takashi had been taking the fire for her, she was able to adjust to a regular life, but not completely. She still felt the guilt of knowing the truth of what happened that day. However, it wasn't the entire truth. Her mind wasn't ready to handle the fact that she had murdered someone, so it suppressed that memory and put her under the impression that Takashi had killed the teacher to protect her. Still, they tried their best to fix the mistakes that had been made long ago. That is the basic premise of the story. Well, it was the really, really long version of the premise. I refrained from making jokes on the serious parts because that's not the comedy aspect of the video. The comedy is Takashi. This was a section that covered the heavy stuff, but after reading the story, I came to realize that the heavy stuff never had to happen to begin with. It all could have been avoided. Takashi. As noble as the sacrifice was, it was still something very idiotic. Now, I'll ask you one thing. What would you have done? Seeing the circumstances that surrounded you, how would you have sacrificed yourself? Remember, Sasaki would have gone to jail anyway if he hadn't done that. So what I'm asking you is, what excuse would you have made about the true culprit of the murder? I get that this man wanted to protect her innocence, hence why he destroyed the phone that had the irrefutable evidence that would have saved his family the entire trouble, but, the excuse that he made, right? It just baffled me. Even he himself says that he wishes there was another way to protect her. That is exactly what his excuse would have done if he had just said the right words. I will remind you of the consequences of his actions one more time, and actually mention the ones that I was too lazy to edit in because I just couldn't be asked. His friend got bullied harshly, his sister had to drop out of university, his parents' business died, his family almost got torn apart, anyone associated with him would suffer, and guess what? He allowed it to continue. The reason for that is the same reason why this dude is a much bigger simp than Mordecai. The reason why he let his family and friends endure all of that pain, even himself sacrificing his own happiness for years, is because he thought that would be a good enough excuse to protect Sasaki. I'm so done. Why did he not just say that he killed the teacher to protect her? Damn it. I told you, I got frustrated with this. He also expected her to fall in love with him after the whole sacrifice, but guess what? Guess what? You would have already seen the image already, but I'll show you again. Boom. She moved on. She fell in love with her senpai, and lied straight to Takashi's face about it by not telling him. To be honest, I never really liked Sasaki throughout the story because she didn't fight for herself. She had to rely on Takashi to do most of it, but she did find the resolve to do it in the end. At the end of the day, I need to pay my respects to this guy. Even though his young and immature mind was more susceptible to making a decision like that, he was at least able to protect his friend. I read the comments. Some may call this guy a white knight, but I disagree. This is him. The biggest simp ever. You thought Mordecai killing Rigby was bad? Get a load of this guy. Although, I may give him a lot of flack, he was still able to make one good decision at the end of the day. He chose best girl! Come on! Get it!
Up the toffees.
Bin off Sasaki.
Know your place, trash!
Get kawaii. Get all the kawaiis. So if you're looking for the best way to get coins, don't spend FIFA coins.
Yeah, going ain't like nigga. Move out the way, please don't be a hero. Bling blow, ooh, she no skateboard P. Bling blow, ooh, she no skateboard P. Yeah, going ain't like